Have you ever wondered why some women leave without a single word, and yet their absence echoes louder than any goodbye? There is something unspeakably haunting about the woman who walks away in silence. She does not announce her departure. She does not plead, beg, or explain. She simply withdraws, like the tide leaving the shore, and the man left, standing in the hollow of her absence, finds himself consumed by the very void she leaves behind. Carl Jung once wrote that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. And yet, there is a rare kind of woman whose departure transforms far more than her presence ever could. Her silence is not merely absence, it is alchemy. It is the crucible in which a man confronts the unbearable weight of his own projections, shadows, and longing. To understand this, one must peer into the hidden corridors of the masculine psyche labyrinth, shaped by centuries of archetype, myth, and unconscious desire. A man does not simply miss the physical presence of a woman who vanishes without a word. What haunts him is far deeper, far more primal. It is the shattering of the illusion that she was somehow his to own, to possess, to define. When a woman walks away without explanation, she unconsciously awakens his animasun's term for the unconscious feminine within the male psyche. Her silence forces him inward into the painful territory of self-reflection where few men willingly venture. He is left not only to question her absence, but to confront the terrifying emptiness within himself. The ego, once fed by her attention, admiration, or compliance, starves in her absence. The mask he wore for her approval crumbles, and what remains is the unadorned, self-naked, unprepared, and, most often, ashamed. The woman who departs without a sound embodies what ancient Stoic philosophers called amor fatis, the love of one's fate. She no longer resists the unfolding of life, nor does she seek to control another's perception of her. She is the embodiment of serenity through detachment. Seneca might have called her wise beyond measure, for she no longer hinges her worth on external validation or the unpredictable tides of masculine attention. And so he remembers her not for the sweetness of her voice, nor the softness of her touch, but for the way her absence forced him to meet himself. She becomes, in his unconscious, the symbol of what is forever beyond reach. The more he grasps at the memory, the further it recedes. This is the cruel paradox of desire. That which is available is often overlooked, while that which slips through the fingers becomes obsession. For some women, this departure is not an act of manipulation, but of deep self-preservation. Awakened to the quiet truth that her energy is precious. That not every man deserves her nurturing, her softness, her radiant vulnerability. She has seen the cycle. The more she gives, the more she is taken for granted. And so, without resentment, without grand speeches, she simply leaves. The man, who once basked in her warmth, without gratitude, begins to spiral. His mind plays cruel games. Did she ever truly love him? Was she ever his? Could he have done something differently? The questions torment him because there are no answers. The mystery of her silence drives him into the depths of the psyche where reason cannot follow. There, in the darkness, he may encounter his shadow, the disowned parts of himself he projected onto her. In this way, the silent woman becomes both wound and medicine. She is the one who teaches through absence, through the unspoken. She mirrors back to the man his own unhealed wounds, his need for control, his fear of abandonment, his inability to sit with discomfort. And though he may seek her return, though he may chase the ghost of her presence, deep down he knows something has shifted that cannot be undone. The woman who walks away without a word carries within her the ancient feminine power of surrender. Not surrender to the man, but surrender to herself. She no longer seeks to explain her worth, to justify her departure, to mother a man into recognizing her value. She has shed that skin. Like Persephone ascending from the underworld, she rises in silent sovereignty. Her silence is not coldness. It is the highest form of respect for herself, for the other. For the unspoken wisdom that some stories end not with thunder, but with quiet, and the man, though he may never say, it will carry her absence like an invisible scar. For she did what few have the courage to do. She left before her soul withered, before resentment took root, before she became less than who she was meant to be. And so the man. left in the quiet aftermath, finds himself haunted not just by the memory of her, but by the mystery of her disappearance, riddle without solution. A door that will never open again. Carl Jung taught that what we repress, what we refuse to confront, does not disappear, it festers in the unconscious, becoming shadow. And this woman, by her silent departure, unknowingly forces him to meet this very shadow, the fragile ego, the unhealed boy, the need for external validation, the hunger for control masked as love. Her absence becomes a mirror reflecting his deepest fears, the fear of being unworthy, the fear of being unseen, the fear that love, once given, could be withdrawn without notice. And yet, this is her quiet liberation. She steps beyond the realm of being chosen or kept by a man. She reclaims her ancient spiritual femininity, the kind that does not chase, does not cling, does not barter for crumbs of affection. Instead, she rises into her own wholeness. This is the forbidden feminine that few speak of, refuses to mother a man out of his own emotional immaturity. The woman who will not explain her intuition to someone deaf to it. The woman who chooses solitude over shrinking herself to fit a man's comfort zone. And in doing so, she becomes unforgettable. Not because she tried to be, but because she stopped trying entirely. The mystery of the silent, feminine as Jung, might frame it is not meant to punish the man, but to protect the woman. It is an act of sacred withdrawal, a return to inner sovereignty where her worth is, no longer measured by anyone else's eyes. Men often mistake this withdrawal for indifference, for coldness. But what truly unnerves them is that the emotional spell has been broken. The strings of unconscious power have been cut. She no longer needs him, not as mirror, not as savior, not as distraction. The man, if he is wise, may eventually transmute this wound into wisdom. He may begin his own inner journey to face his ego, to integrate his shadows, to awaken the anima, the sacred feminine within himself that he once projected onto her. But until that awakening, she remains the unanswered question, the one who, left with no words, the woman who became legend in his psyche. And perhaps, in some quiet corner of his mind, he knows. He met not just a woman, but a mirror of the divine dressed in human form.